The iPhone 8 is a 4-year-old phone. It came out the same year as the iPhone 10, and so you might think that even at £160, it's pretty bad and you should just go out and buy the successor, the iPhone SE. But spoiler alert, that's not what I'm going to say. So let's talk about that. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and this is my review of the iPhone 8 a few years later. Yes, you heard that right in the intro. You can get one of these things for £160 on eBay used. That's what I paid, at least, after getting one of these things to replace my mum's iPhone 6. It's still a decent phone, but it just doesn't do what she wants it to do anymore. The iPhone SE, which is essentially the iPhone 8's successor, can be found for an extra £100 on eBay, bringing it to around £270 to £280 used. And whilst that might not sound like a lot of money, to the sort of people who are buying these kinds of smartphones, sometimes that can be the difference between being able to afford a smartphone and not. At £160, I think the iPhone 8 is a bit of a bargain, and that is quite a bold claim, but this isn't usually where I talk about software. We have to talk about software right at the start of the video. See, the iPhone 6s got iOS 15. That phone is 6 years old. That means that the iPhone 8 should, in theory, get iOS 17. It must be said my mum does upgrade her phone every 2 to 3 years for devices that tend to cost under £200, and with that in mind, and the fact that she wanted something similar to her iPhone 6, the 8 fits the bill pretty well. It's a very typical old iPhone design, and people who became accustomed to the iPhone 6 design for the next couple of generations are going to be happy here. A standard 16:9 screen with no curved corners or edges. It does have Touch ID in place of Face ID and the single camera on the back. It's very basic, but sometimes that can be appreciated by people. The 8 sports IP67 water and dust resistance, which is great to see on an iPhone of this age, and Touch ID is substantially better on this compared to the 6. And then of course there's 3D Touch. I loved this technology so much when I got my iPhone 6s Plus originally, that it kind of felt like a step backwards getting rid of it after the iPhone 10. It was really handy for previewing sort of web pages and stuff like that, and it felt really satisfying with the haptic feedback, so it's a shame they got rid of that. The glass back also enables Qi wireless charging too, which is really handy to have, and I think the glass back looks nice on this sort of smartphone anyway. Performance-wise, we're stuck with 2GB of RAM and the A11 Bionic. This is much slower than modern iPhones, but it's honestly not that bad if all you do is sort of browse social media and send messages. It is sprightly enough. It's definitely not fast, but it's substantially better than the iPhone 6, which is good news. The screen at 720p and with IPS technology isn't impressive in the slightest, but like the iPhone SE, it is usable, and given its size, I think the pixel density is absolutely fine. It doesn't really matter that the resolution is low, and I want to take a little bit of a sidebar here. It is mental that the iPhone 8 is a similar size to the iPhone 12 mini, despite the big screen difference. Of course, this is used to a more efficient use of space, but I just found it quite fascinating to look at, to be honest. Anyway, back to the 8. If you play lots of games or watch lots of video, just skip it, and the SE for that matter. Go for the bigger smartphones with the bigger batteries and the more powerful chips. These phones aren't made for that, and as I said, the 8's performance isn't the best. It's good, but it's not amazing. And that's where we come to the battery life. It's not amazing. Again, it's a 1800 or thereabouts mAh battery, which it means it's very small. I mean, the average smartphone these days has at least double that size battery, but of course you've got to remember it's a small phone. And for my mum, who doesn't really use her phone all that much, it'll be fine. It'll probably get her through a full day absolutely fine, but for me, it's going to need charging at even lunchtime. And that's an issue for a lot of people going into this with the expectation of having much better battery life than something like the iPhone 6. Between iOS not being the most efficient OS compared to something like a fork of Android from Huawei, the fact that the battery is really small, and the fact you have to work in a very confined space in the iPhone 8 because it's so small, it just doesn't add up to great battery life. The charging also is not very fast, and if you really want something that's going to work for you in the long term with good longevity, and maybe you use your phone, you want to charge it every couple of days, just completely skip most iPhones apart from sort of the Maxes. One of the main reasons my mum actually wanted a new phone is the camera on her 6 was just awful. It's not a very good camera these days, and while the 8 doesn't have the best camera, it is better. Up from 8 megapixels, it's 12 megapixels on the back and is a marked improvement, as is the 7 megapixel selfie camera, up from 1.2 megapixels on the iPhone 6. The cameras might seem limited to someone like me who uses phones with upwards of 5 cameras sometimes, but for many people, 2 is all you need. Images look relatively crisp and clear, colours are processed in that typical Apple way, and there's OIS and Ultra HD video support as well. There's pretty much everything you need for capturing moments and sticking them on social media, though they might not look the best. Low light is definitely the main area of concern, as the iPhone 8's small sensors pale in comparison to the more up-to-date ones on the 12 and onwards. But the phone cost £160, so what are you going to do? Now you're probably thinking I'm giving the iPhone 8 a little bit more credit than it deserves. And granted, it's definitely not an amazing smartphone in 2020 and onwards. Even in 2021, I just think a lot of people need to ignore it and just go for something a bit better. However, for someone on a limited budget, someone who doesn't want to relearn an OS, and someone who wants everything to be basically like their previous smartphone but just newer, the iPhone 8 is a good option for that. For most people, I recommend getting the SE if you can, and if not, find something on the Android side if you're into that, because they're going to be much better smartphones overall. But the iPhone 8 is still usable, and I know a lot of people still use the 8 and 8 Plus in 2021, so it's not exactly a completely unusable smartphone, it's just you need to temper your expectations. And with that, I want to end today's video. So that is our video on the iPhone 8 in 2021. Pretty interesting. Going into this, actually, I'm not sure when this video is going out, so happy Christmas, maybe not happy Christmas, I have no idea. I've got a couple more videos to shoot today, so we'll see where that goes up. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do like, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. I want to give a massive shout out to all my patrons for being continually supportive. Thank you so much. And also check out all my social medias. I will be doing a live stream actually, possibly in this video, I'll correct myself in editing, this weekend for charity, so I'll leave links to that in the description. Go check that out. It should be in the US sort of time zone, so it should work quite well. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Peace.